Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this is Taking Care of Business. Joining me today is Colin Craig, who is president of secondstreet.org. Thanks for joining us today, Colin.
Well, thanks for having me, Mario.
Well, you guys put out an interesting report today, 25 examples of new ways to reduce our carbon dioxide usage or repurpose it for other ways of doing things or products or whatever. Tell me, first of all, overall, why you did this study and report, and we'll go from there.
You know, I think a lot of the discourse in Canada when it comes to climate change, it's very negative, it's very pessimistic, and we wanted to do something that was actually pretty positive because there have been just so many amazing examples of entrepreneurs finding ways to either reduce carbon dioxide emissions in the first place, or to instead take those emissions and use them into creating some products that consumers use. So either way, they're reducing the amount of emissions that go into the atmosphere. There's so many amazing examples. We thought, you know what, we need more attention focused on these, because I think ultimately if we're going to reduce emissions as a society, it's going to take entrepreneurs to keep doing what they're doing.
Okay, let's talk about some examples. Let's do them in the two buckets there. First, what are some of the neat examples that you saw when it came to just the actual reduction of the carbon?
Well, you know, a good example is here in Alberta, the Canadian Oil Sands Alliance. One thing that, or Innovative Alliance, I should say, what they have done is these are companies up in the oil sands in Alberta that usually compete with each other. But when it comes to finding ways to reduce emissions, they're cooperating. So they have this partnership where if one firm develops some new technology or a new way of cutting down their emissions, they share that with the other companies. So they very much cooperating when it comes to sharing technology to reduce emissions. And they've been able to reduce the emissions per barrel of oil between 2000 and the year 2000 and 2017 by about 28%. So it's a very good step in the right direction. It's really interesting to see companies that usually compete instead putting aside those competitive differences to share technology for the good of the environment.
All right, let's talk about the repurposing of the carbon and what kind of interesting and neat products and examples can you offer us on that side of things?
Sure, and we came across lots, and it was really inspiring because of just what entrepreneurs are able to do. So one of the ones I love is a company from New York. It's called Air Company, and they make this, and this is vodka made with two ingredients. One is dioxide, which is captured and would have normally gone into the atmosphere. Instead, they're taking that, and they're also using water to make vodka. And it seems a little strange if you think about it, like, how do they do this? But if you break down the chemical formula for ethanol, which is the main ingredient in vodka, it's made up of three elements: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And you can find those three elements in both carbon dioxide and water. So they're able to rejig things through their magical process and end up making vodka. And I think that's just amazing to see that they've found a way to do that.
Okay, then. And was there anything else that you wanted to show? And
yeah, for sure. I'll go through a couple other examples.
Yeah,
I like this one here. It's from Calgary. It's a company called Clean O2. And it was started by a company that was in the ventilation and heating business. And what they figured out was, instead of a company or a building rather, having their emissions from using natural gas to heat it just go into the atmosphere, what they found is that they could take those the CO2 and use it to make an additive, which is used to make soap. So they've been able to make different types of soap with basically with carbon dioxide and other elements. Another up and coming company is called Carbon Nova, and they do something really cool, and they're making carbon nanofibers with CO2. And carbon nanofibers are in lots of different things that we use and things we don't even think of. So one example is you might pick up a badminton racket and find out that it's made with carbon nanofibers. This has been going on for many years. This is an old racket that I have that's quite old, but what is new is that this company is now making these nanofibers using captured CO2. Carbon nanofibers are also in things like bicycle frames. You'll see some bicycles that are quite lightweight.
Oh yeah.
Often they're made with carbon nanofibers. And then when I talk about things that we don't even think about, if you pull up to an intersection, quite often below the surface are sensors that are connected to the traffic lights. And those sensors are often made with carbon nanofibers too. So there's definitely lots of really cool things. Another company here in Calgary called Carbon Upcycling, they're making an additive that when combined with cement, you can make concrete with it, and it makes the concrete stronger than what you would have normally through just using cement. So there's all kinds of really, really cool stuff. And like I said, I think it's important that we talk about those more instead of the doom and gloom discourse that so often dominates climate change discussions in this country.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't really know, right? And yeah, like even myself, like some of the examples you gave there, like totally never would have come across them or knew about them, right? So I think that's the case for most people, right, in Canada.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I say, I don't think these examples get enough attention, and they're really positive. We should be talking about them more. And in our policy brief, like I say, we talk about 25 different examples, but we also discuss what governments can do to support this sector. I mean, it's great. We've seen a lot of examples here in Calgary. So in our policy brief, we talk about things that governments can do to support the sector. And it's even something as simple as, just prioritizing this type of research. Governments every year, they spend millions of dollars on research for post-secondary activities. Some of them are very questionable. And what we've said is, well, look, if this is a priority, then why don't you divert some of those dollars towards post-secondary research at finding ways to repurpose carbon dioxide or reduce it in the first place? Because that would be a lot more of a priority than some of the things that receive funding right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks very much, Colin, for joining us today.
Thanks a lot for your time, Mario.
All right, super. That was Colin Craig, who is president of secondstreet.org. This has been Taking Care of Business with Mario Toneguzzi. Thanks for joining us today.